Hey, what's up, guys? It is Dan from FightWave, and today I'm joined by somebody I'm once again very excited to speak with. It feels like every couple of months we're having this young gentleman on the show to speak with him about his upcoming fight. It feels like he's just doing everything right now. I feel like, in terms of young talent, this man here today is the golden standard for what a young fighter should aspire to be in terms of not only the preparation and commitment to the fight game, but also the utmost discipline and measure it takes to excel in this sport. Last time we spoke to him, he was a massive underdog going into a fight where many had thought it was a little too early, and he shut the doubters up very quick in defeating Joseph Luciano and securing the Hex Welterweight Championship. Now, he's stepping in on short notice, I think a month, like 4 to 5 weeks time, to face Aldin to defend his title for the very first time. I'm joined by the captain himself, Jono Micallef. How are we doing, brother?
Hey brother, hey guys. Yeah, doing really good, man. Yeah, just preparing, like you said, to fight out defenders for the first time, which is new. Really, really exciting. Especially against such a tough opponent like Aldin. Yeah, I can't wait to get in there and once again do that thing. Get in and fight.
No, yeah, definitely. And like you said, you're not the type of guy to not be training nonstop. But when this announcement came forward, I feel like at first it was not necessarily, not that it was unserious, but it was super cordial and casual. You just saw Aldin had his opponent fall out due to injury, and you were like, "Hey, I'm game for a dance anytime." And I feel like this fight just seemingly made itself. Talk to me a little bit about that. Just the cordial and casual nature in which this fight was made, because it looked like one of the more easier negotiating processes behind the scenes. So talk to me about that a little bit, just how the fight came about.
Yeah. Well, all this started a few weeks before that. I put my name down to fight on Hex 29. Well, basically after I defended my title, I said, I want to stay active. I want to keep fighting. And the matchup didn't come. We had guys of some camps, just fans saying things and really shouting to the ceiling and saying, "Oh, fight him, fight him." But when it came down to the matchmakers and them doing their job, it didn't happen. So I was sort of left in alert for a while. And then the day that fight got pulled out for the Eternal Belt against my current opponent, Aldin and Caleb Rideout, I basically gave a little call out just to sort of solidify my chances of getting a fight. And sure enough, like you said, cordially, it materialized very quickly.
No, yeah, definitely. And, I got to give you credit where credit is due. Like you said, you're not one to sit around and wait. You're a fighter that likes to stay busy. You'd like to do stuff just to be able to propel yourself to that next level. I know the end goal right now is to get to the UFC, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But talk to me about the element and the nature of this short notice fight. I feel like obviously we associate short notice with risk, taking a chance, but I feel like for you, that's not necessarily the case because you're training year round, you're staying busy, you're keeping your body in shape to fight in these short notice opportunities. Talk to me about this risk, but almost a well-worthy risk because a win over Aldin, it cements your position as the pound for pound number one at 170 in Australia. So talk to me about that a little bit in terms of the risk taking and just the preparation.
Yeah. Look, man, in terms of risk taking, fighting's always going to be about taking the risks. You know what I mean? Especially at the top level, there's risks all the way through there. But I've actually been preparing, like I said earlier, to fight on Hex 29. So realistically, like my body's in shape and ready. It's just a couple little tweaks in terms of game plan with the different opponent being 5 weeks out instead of the usual 8. But man, like I said earlier, there's risks in all of fighting, so it doesn't really put much out there. But this fight for me is actually massive because you had Aldin and Caleb fighting for the vacant eternal title. So I think a win over Aldin basically gives me the right to say, hey, I beat Joey, the former eternal champ, and now a guy who was just about to fight for the eternal belt. I think that puts me right up there as one guy had for two different promotions. But yeah, only for Hex.
No, yeah, definitely. Talk to me just a little bit about, like you said, the preparation's a little bit different. You have to fine tune some things in 5 weeks as opposed to 8 weeks. But like you said, being able to fight two of the guys who fought for the Eternal Belt, one of the other major promotions in Australia. Aldin slated to fight for it, and Joey, obviously, the former champion for Eternal. That puts a lot of merit and claim on your pedigree of your pedigree of fighting, your skill set, what you bring to the table, and it also represents an uptick in competition. Like you said, 5 weeks compared to 8 it's a pretty big difference in the fight world, but for you it's easy to adjust and kind of work around that. What's the kind of talks been with Coach Sam Hayward at Combat One about, being able to kind of fine tune and make this within your favor, as opposed to, just stepping in to save a fight, being able to maximize on this opportunity for yourself. What have those conversations been like?
Yeah, well, every time we get an opponent, or a fight it gets booked in, we sit down, we talk about it, we look over some film of their fights and say, all right, this is what we think will work, and this is what we think we need to be careful of. And Aldin has a lot of threats, a lot of, he's a power puncher. He has it, but yeah, same as usual. Just with a couple of weeks less, we put a game plan together and we try and put it all together in the fight night.
No, yeah, definitely. And just to reiterate what you said, another fight under the Hex banner, a lot of people have spoken about, hand and glove fits and fighting. And I feel like you and Hex have really developed this relationship through you fighting up their ranks and really asserting yourself as one of their go-to talents. What does it mean for you just to have received the love from Hex? They said, Hex 29, you had said, hey, I want to fight. They obliged. They made this fight happen. What's that whole matchmaking process been like now that this will be, if I remember correctly, your fourth or fifth fight with Hex under their banner, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, that's right. This will be the fifth fight with Hex, and they just make it so easy. They're always willing to do things to help me out and sort of make camp and everything like that easy. Yeah, they're just a great promotion and allow fighting for them easy, especially fighting up the ranks. When I started, they sort of made my first fight easily, made me feel very welcome, and then from there, they just sort of, step by step, put me up the rankings and helped make it an easy process for me. So it's really good.
No, yeah, definitely. And Jono, I gotta highlight, after the Luciano fight, a couple of weeks after, you really saw the international acclaim and outpour of media outlets and publications. In terms of prospects lists, I feel like you were seeing an uptick in terms of recognition from the international scene and from the global, the media and everyone just really recognizing the elite prowess that you have and the potential at 24 years of age, the skills that you bring to the mixed martial arts realm. Talk to me about seeing the publications writing about you now. And now we're seeing, the risk paid off in taking that opponent. People were saying you weren't ready. You shut him up. Talk to me a little bit about, finally seeing that respect throughout all the entirety of MMA media. Slowly you're having, MMA Junkie and other publications writing about you. What does that mean for you as a fighter? Is it, it's got to mean a lot, I guess, in terms of just seeing you get that recognition at the highest level.
Yeah. Oh man, it is so cool, especially because it sort of just shows that if you go out there and you take the risks, then the rewards are there. I said before I'd fought Joey, I said all the hype and all the attention that Joey's getting, I'm going to steal. All the fans and stuff, and I feel like that has sort of translated, especially over Christmas time and the prospect of the year, and they saw this kid who, the start of the year, had only had 2 pro fights and had gone on to take out some of the top welterweight guys. So it's cool, and it feels good to get a little bit of recognition, especially in the international media guys too. It's very cool.
No, yeah, definitely. And I know you spoke in other interviews prior about, your manager, Justin. I think he doesn't get enough credit for what he does. Platinum One, Justin AR, he does a remarkable job in terms of really standing out there and putting his, his hand out and doing everything he can for his clients and beyond. He's done a really remarkable job with you, especially getting you these opportunities. You've mentioned him getting you sponsorships and everything. I think he's just done a remarkable job in the combat sports world of management, where I've been relatively critical. I don't know if you've seen over the past few weeks of some managements, but Justin, not one of those cases. Talk to me a little bit about that manager to fighter relationship, what it's meant like for you to see him going out there, talking to Sean Shelby, making that line of communication kind of accessible, where other managers not necessarily able to get a hold of Sean Shelby really easily. He's gone out there and really made it happen. What's that meant for you? And also, just some of the conversations that have been had there about your possible insertion into the UFC brass.
Yeah, firstly, I just want to say that I'm so lucky to have a manager and just a person like Justin around. He really treats me like family, and he takes me under his wing. He's also opening up his own gym, Australian Elite Team, or he's putting in for it, at least helping out. And it's an incredible gym. You guys should check it out, Australian Elite Team, and what they're doing. It's sort of, I don't think there's a gym like it in the whole of the country. It's really incredible. But he he sort of takes you under like family, and he puts his balls on the line out there a little bit. He's out there messaging, emailing all these other different guys, Sean Shelby, companies for sponsorships, and he's sort of just like really out there putting that work. Yeah, and you got to be grateful for it. It's just sometimes I take that stuff for granted, because it's all I know. But when you step out and, like you said, you've been posting about some other managers and stuff, and then you really have to step back, take a moment, and say, yeah, I'm so lucky to have these people around me, supporting me. Yeah.
No, yeah, definitely. And, you mentioned the open line of communication there between, Justin and I think it was Mick Maynard or Sean Shelby, one or the other, if I remember correctly. But talk to me a little bit about that. They had come out and said, hey, we're looking for kind of a spectacular finish or something spectacular to happen. Do you feel like, just in terms of opportunity, do you feel like a win over Aldin really inserts you into that conversation? Because I feel like it does tenfold. I feel like a win over Aldin in any capacity. You're talking two guys who are, one was 8-1 when you fought him. You gave him his second ever loss, and Aldin, another guy, I think 8-3 or 7-3 record, another game opponent fighting for the title. You go out there and do what you need to do to Aldin. I feel like the promotion, or at the very minimum, Contender Series is knocking on the door. I want to ask you, just in terms of not looking past Aldin per se, but more so the opportunities that come with defeating a guy like him. What would that mean to you, and where do you think a win over Aldin puts you in this conversation?
Yeah, well, look, a win over Aldin is no easy task, but in doing so, I think that it will allow me to sort of tick off a few more boxes that those high-profile UFC guys are looking for. They want to see, well, Joey's a great grappler, so tick that box. He can stand against a great grappler. He can also go 5 rounds, and then you see someone like Aldin, power puncher, strong guy, really physical. And I think that will tick a few more boxes off there, and hopefully I would have done enough for these guys to say, all right, let's see how this kid goes in the big show. But look, if not, I'm just going to keep working. I'm going to keep fighting, and I'm just going to do what I do and keep climbing. But I think that a win over Aldin definitely will be sort of the last straw to push me up to the big show. But only time will tell.
No, yeah, definitely. And I wanted to highlight another thing, which was your confidence. I think has been one of the most remarkable things to see. We talked about it the last interview. You're not the type of guy to go out there and talk trash. You're a very authentic person in terms of being yourself. You don't put on a facade or persona to really go out there and sell, because I feel like in terms of the type of message that you present, a hard worker, blue collar, goes out there, works, trains full time. You're living the dream, and you're showing it can be done at the highest level. But also with that, I feel like a certain level of confidence grows. And you talked about it briefly in an interview, I think, with Joel Rasmussen, about, just the confidence growing every time you step in that octagon. Talk to me a little bit about that confidence, when you step in the octagon, compared to when you made your debut. I feel like your confidence has skyrocketed with every performance, and we've just been seeing a better Jono every time you step in that octagon.
Yeah, well, look, man, if I take it back 4 years ago, I wasn't a very confident kid. I grew up in a big family. I was often the smaller kid. But like you said, it grows. It just takes time. And by the time you step into the cage, every time you can back the hours and hours of work that you've been doing, it's like day in, day out, working, grinding, wrestling, striking, pads, sparring. It just doesn't end. And then you get in there, and you haven't left any stone unturned. You've done all the work you could possibly do. You've broken your body down. You've depleted yourself, and then you rebuild yourself up. That fight week, get in there, and man, whatever happens, happens. I'm confident that I've done every single thing I could possibly do to win this fight. And that's where it comes from. It comes from the hard work that you do in camp. So it's just about, like you said the confidence grows, and from the start of the camp to the end of the camp, it grows multiple fold.
No, yeah, definitely. And if I think I could highlight any other young talent with the confidence and the development that we've seen in the fight game, you would be at the very top of that list. There's not a lot of fighters from that 20 to 25-year-old range outside of the UFC that you can confidently say, throw him into the UFC now, you'll see him fight at the highest level, and you'll see him excel. And Jono, I want to thank you so much for your time. It's always a privilege to sit here and speak with you. Thank you so much for the quick chat. But on a final note, I want to ask you, what's the message to the supporters of the captain at home? Because I feel like it's only, the captain army is only growing with every fight. I feel like it's just time and time again we're seeing and being reminded why the sport is so great, because we get put onto prospects and talents like yourself who continue to go out there and fight and excel in the regional scene. And I feel like it's only a matter of time till we see you in the big show. So I want to give you the floor. Any final message to the supporters at home ahead of this fight with Aldin Bates?
Yeah, to all the people out there coming to support, you guys are a big part of the reason why I do this. I couldn't really do this without you guys. Don't get me wrong, when I fought Joey, I definitely heard the chants, but Jono, and then it just fucking gave me that extra energy to push, to dig deep. And I'm going to do the same thing come March 2nd, Hex 29. Yeah, you guys are incredible, and thank you all. I appreciate the support, and it does not go unnoticed.
Absolutely. And, to the fans at home watching, if you're not doing yourself a favor and watching Jono Micallef versus Aldin Bates at Hex 29, first and foremost, what are you doing? You're crazy. Second and foremost, go get your tickets right now. Support your local fighter. Pay-per-view link will be in the description down below. Check it out. Check Jono out. I'll be linking his socials in the description down below, putting you on to the best and only the best prospects in all of MMA. Check him out on social media. It's been me, Dan, from FightWave. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Do be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And have a great day, guys.